The first time I noticed the wrong date on the calendar, I thought I was losing my mind. It was Tuesday, and I was sure I had a dentist appointment. I even remembered brushing extra hard the night before, setting the reminder on my phone, and leaving my insurance card out on the entry table. But when I checked the kitchen wall calendar, our main one, the one we both updated every Sunday, it showed a completely blank square. No appointment. Just a faint smudge where something had been erased. "Did you change the calendar?" I asked Nate when he got home. He looked up from removing his shoes, his expression soft but confused. "What do you mean?" "My dentist appointment," I said. "I swear I wrote it on there." He walked over, took a glance, and shrugged. "Maybe you thought you wrote it but forgot. You've been forgetful lately." I felt a chill, not at his words, at how gently he said them, like it was a fact we both agreed on, like it had always been true. I didn't answer, just nodded and made dinner while my brain buzzed in the background. It wasn't the first time Nate had corrected me about something I was sure of. Lately, it felt like every time I remembered something, he remembered it differently. Like when I brought up our dinner with his sister last week. "Last week," he laughed. "Babe, that was almost a month ago." "No, I remember. We had that weird spicy margarita, and she told us about her coworker's baby." He raised an eyebrow. "That was last month. You've really gotta start sleeping more." I dropped it, but that night, I scrolled through my camera roll. There it was, a picture of his sister's weird drink, dated 6 days ago. I showed it to him the next morning. He blinked at the screen, then said, "Huh, that's weird. I must have been the one who forgot. My bad." Except he never forgot things. Nate was annoyingly precise. That was part of his charm once. Now, it felt like a threat in slow motion. Things kept slipping. The laundry I could have sworn I folded was suddenly unfolded in the basket. My keys, which I always hung by the door, were twice found on the bathroom counter. And then, last Thursday, I woke up to find the entire calendar changed. The month had been flipped ahead, 2 weeks ahead. All the dates were off. All the appointments wiped. New things penciled and I never remembered adding. Dinner W. Drew, 7 p.m. Car inspection. Mom's birthday. When I confronted Nate, he frowned again. "Are you messing with me?" he asked, voice tight. "No, why would I do that?" "Because I haven't touched that thing in days. You were probably half asleep and flipped it yourself." He kissed my forehead and left for work. I stood there, staring at the little magnetic pen we kept on the calendar, still warm like it had just been used. That weekend, I found a duplicate key to our apartment under Nate's car seat. Not a spare, a copy, an exact one freshly cut. We only had one key each. It was something we joked about. "No cheating without returning home," he'd once said, holding up his key like a pinky swear. But this one didn't have the usual wear. No scratches, no faded paint. It was new. When I asked, Nate said, "Oh, I made an extra one for the dog walker." "We don't have a dog walker." He blinked, then smiled faintly. "I meant for the cleaning service." "We don't have one of those either." He was silent for a second. "Then, you agreed to try one a few weeks ago, said you were too tired to clean." My stomach twisted. I didn't remember that. At all. I started writing everything down. Not just appointments, conversations. I began keeping a notebook in my nightstand. Every night, I wrote what we ate, what we said, what we planned. If I said I'd pay the gas bill Tuesday, I said I'd pay gas bill Tuesday. If Nate kissed me on the cheek instead of the lips, I wrote that down too. Because something was wrong, and I needed proof that I wasn't the one unraveling. Until Sunday night, when the notebook went missing. I tore through drawers, bags, the laundry. Nothing. When I asked Nate, calmly, trying not to sound accusatory, he shrugged. "Did you check the freezer?" I looked at him. "What?" "That's where you found your wallet last month, right?" He smiled. I didn't. I just walked out of the room, my ears ringing. That night, I slept with the bedroom door locked. This morning, I woke up to an envelope under the door. No name. Inside, one single page torn from a planner. It wasn't mine, but it listed my name on 2 separate dates. And under Friday's entry, in red ink, "She's starting to notice." The paper was smooth, crisp, new. Not torn from my planner, Mine was spiral-bound, soft-cover, pastel pink. This was from something else, a stiff black leather-bound type, expensive, masculine. I turned the page over. No other markings. Just the front, 2 dates, my name twice, and that chilling line in red. She's starting to notice. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling. Nate was in the kitchen. I could hear the faint clink of a spoon in his cereal bowl. I slid the page into the pocket of my hoodie and made myself walk out as if nothing had happened. "Morning," he said, all easy smiles. "Want eggs?" I smiled back. I told him I had a migraine and was working from bed. But really, I spent the entire morning comparing handwriting samples. I had old sticky notes from Nate, ones where he wrote things like leftover tie in the fridge and call landlord Ray, AC. I lined them up next to the planner page. It didn't match. Not even close. His loops were wide, soft. This writing was compressed, rigid, with tight curves and hard slants. If Nate didn't write the note, who did? And more importantly, who knew enough about my schedule to write my name in a day planner and track what I was noticing? I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into my old iCloud backup, the one I hadn't touched since before Nate and I moved in together. I'd used it to store calendars, texts, reminders, all from my last job and apartment. It took forever to load, but when it did, I nearly dropped the laptop. On February 3rd, almost 4 months ago, I had a digital reminder titled, Dr. Klein 3:30 p.m. follow-up. I had no memory of this appointment. No photos, no emails, nothing physical. But there it was, backed up and timestamped from an iPhone I no longer used. I Googled Dr. Klein. Turns out he's a neuropsychiatrist, memory disorders, early onset dementia, dissociation. Had I seen someone for this? Why didn't I remember? Was this Nate's doing? Had he scheduled that appointment for me? I opened my Gmail. Search Dr. Klein. Nothing. Then I checked my spam. There it was. Confirmation, your virtual consultation with Dr. Klein has been scheduled. Feb 3rd, 3:30 p.m. Sent from Nate Johnson alt@gmail.com. I blinked. That was Nate's usual email. His main address was on his work domain. But this one used our shared last name. We weren't married, but people always assumed we were. I clicked the sender info. Created 6 months ago, used once. Just to book one single appointment in my name. I clutched the sides of my laptop like it was a ledge. This wasn't random. This wasn't gaslighting by accident. This was a campaign. I confronted him that evening. I found something weird in the spam folder, I said casually. He looked up from his phone. Yeah. An email from someone using your name, booking an appointment for me with a psychiatrist. His face didn't move. We talked about that, he said evenly. You told me you were having blackouts. I stared at him. No, I didn't. You did, he insisted calmly. You cried, said you were scared, begged me to help you keep track of things. I didn't blink. Then show me the texts, or call logs, or anything, because I don't remember ever saying that. He frowned like I'd disappointed him. You said I should help you even when you didn't remember asking. That made my blood run cold. I said that. You did. And that's when I realized he was doubling down. I walked to the coat closet and pulled out the calendar. Held it up. Who flipped this to next month? He looked at it and sighed. Are you seriously doing this again? This morning, I said, you left it on March, now it's back to February. Why? Maybe the cleaning lady did it. We don't have a cleaning lady. He walked toward me slowly. You said we'd try one. No, you said I said that. And then, so quiet I barely heard him. Same thing. I stepped back. He stepped forward. And smiled. That night, I made sure he saw me take 2 melatonin and go to bed early. Then I waited until his breathing deepened. I got out of bed, quietly pulled the calendar from the kitchen, and flipped it back to the current date. Just to check. Saturday, 14th. The square was blank. But beneath the pen marks, beneath the erasure, I could faintly make out what had been written before. 2 words. In black ink. End date. It wasn't just the words, it was the pressure. You know how ink leaves that slight indentation when someone presses too hard with a pen? That's what I was looking at now. The words "end date" weren't just erased. They were carved into the paper like whoever wrote them was angry. Or afraid. I ran my fingers over the grooves. My heart raced. What was ending? Our relationship, my sanity. Or me. I snapped a picture with my phone, then carefully tore the square from the calendar page and tucked it inside a book on the shelf. I didn't know what I was doing, I just knew I needed to keep evidence hidden. In case things went further. Or worse. Sunday morning, Nate acted like nothing had happened. He even brought me a cappuccino in bed and sat beside me like we were starring in some kind of slow-burn rom-com. "You sleep okay?" he asked, brushing hair from my face. "Yeah, you." "Out cold," he sipped his coffee. "You're quieter lately, it's good, peaceful." That should have sounded like a compliment. It didn't. I faked a smile and got up to shower. Behind the steam, I let myself cry a little. Not from fear, but from the claustrophobia of it all. Like he was slowly building a padded cell around my life and asking me if I liked the color of the walls. And the worst part? I couldn't prove anything. Not legally, not yet. So I needed to start building a record. That's when I remembered the baby monitor. We'd bought it years ago when Nate's niece was staying with us for a week. It was old, analog, still worked. I found it in the garage in a box labeled "Misc Cables." Classic. I set it up in the bedroom, behind a fake plant, turned on the transmitter and muted the receiver. Then I hid the receiver inside a drawer in my home office. That night, I went to bed early again. Same routine, melatonin, lights out. And I waited. 2:43 a.m. The sound of footsteps. Soft, deliberate, like someone trying not to be heard. I stayed still, barely breathing. Then the gentle scratch of paper, the tug of something being peeled. I heard the flip of the calendar page. Then silence. Then footsteps again, fatting. In the morning, the calendar showed Monday the 23rd. Not Sunday the 15th. Over a week ahead. The end date square was now gone completely, replaced with dinner W her parents. Which didn't make sense. Both my parents were dead. I turned on the monitor's receiver. Static hissed. Then, Nate's voice. "She's catching on faster now, might have to move the date." Another voice answered, male, unknown. "Make it look mutual, you've got the notes." "Already planted." "Good, don't call again unless it's done." The recording ended. I sat frozen in my chair, heart thudding in my ears. Notes, moving the date, make it look mutual. This wasn't paranoia. This was a setup. I called Sam. He was the only person I trusted who wouldn't call me crazy. Sam used to date my sister years ago and stuck around long after the breakup. He was into cybersecurity now, ran his own little firm. Not flashy, but brilliant. When I told him what I'd recorded, he didn't even blink. "You need to leave," he said. "Now." "I can't," he'd notice. "Then don't leave physically, just leave digitally first." He walked me through wiping my phone, creating a burner cloud account, setting up remote backups. "He's probably syncing your data," he said. "Photos, texts, could be reading you in real time." I felt sick. He changed my calendar. He planted a fake appointment with a neuropsychiatrist. I think he's trying to build a case that I'm unstable." "You're not wrong," he said grimly. "Also, there's a second voice." He paused. "Did you record it?" "Yes." "Send it to me." I did. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Sam, that second voice, I ran it through my archives. You're not gonna like this." "Me, try me." "Sam, it's Julian from Nate's firm, his boss." Julian, the guy who toasted to me at the holiday party and said I had the patience of a saint for loving someone like Nate. I thought it was a joke. Apparently it was. That night, I said nothing. I played dumb, acted tired, didn't touch the calendar. But I moved my notebook from the bookshelf and replaced it with a decoy journal, blank pages, messy scribbles. The real one? Now lived in the kitchen, inside a Cheerios box I resealed with hot glue. At 3:20 12 a.m., I woke up and checked the calendar. Tuesday the 31st. The date was circled. Next to it, someone had written one word. Exit. But beneath it, scratched in what looked like deep, angry pen strokes. Confirm, locked out 2 p.m. My hands shook as I snapped the photo. What did locked out mean? My apartment, my job. My entire life. And what was I being exited from? I sat down in the dark and felt something slide beneath the front door again. This time, it wasn't paper. It was a key. But not to my apartment. I knew that weight. This was a storage unit key, with a number scribbled in black Sharpie on the tag. Unit 413. I didn't go to work that morning. I didn't even shower. I threw on a hoodie, stuffed the calendar scrap, the voice recorder, and the storage key into my backpack, and drove to the address printed on the back of the key tag. Guardian Vault Storage, 215 Brighton Ave. It was on the other side of town. Industrial area. Rows of tan metal garages behind a keypad gate. The kind of place people use for old furniture, X's, boxes, or the stuff they don't want their new lives to see. I parked a block away and walked the rest of the distance. Paranoia had become muscle memory. Unit 413 was at the far end of the third row. I stood in front of the corrugated door and stared at the lock. I half expected someone to be inside, Nate, or Julian, or whoever the second voice on that recording belonged to. But no one came. I unlocked it, rolled the door up. What I found inside made my knees buckle. The room was clean, empty except for one thing. A corkboard on the back wall, lined with dozens of photos. Of me. Me at the grocery store. Me entering the subway. Me walking the dog I don't even have anymore. Me through the window of my own apartment brushing my hair. Me at work staring at my computer. Some were old. Some were clearly taken within the last week. Every photo was labeled with a date. Some had yellow sticky notes attached. Behavior unchanged. Delayed reaction to move. Observed subject checking calendar. Affirmed memory conflict at dinner. And then in the center of the board, one larger print. A photo of me asleep in bed. From Nate's side of the mattress. Timestamped 3:41 a.m. 2 days ago. Under it, one note in red ink. She's not stable, but she's aware. Expedite containment. I ran out of there shaking. Called Sam from a 7-Eleven bathroom stall. He answered on the first ring. I found a unit, I said, with photos, logs, surveillance shit, of me, Sam, they're building a case. He was quiet for a moment. Then, that's not just gaslighting, that's premeditated psychological coercion, if you can prove any of it links to Nate. I can't, not yet, but there's more. I took a breath. They're tracking whether I remember things, altering my calendar, dropping anonymous notes. One said she's starting to notice. Another said expedite containment. What the fuck does that even mean? It means they're trying to institutionalize you, Sam said flatly. What? They're building a paper trail to claim you're paranoid. Unreliable. It's how guardianships start, or psychiatric holds, or worse. If Nate gets a doctor to back it up and a lawyer who isn't looking closely. I couldn't breathe. Then he gets control, I whispered. Exactly. By the time I got home, I had a plan. I acted normal. I cooked pasta. I laughed at Nate's jokes. I let him kiss my forehead. But I texted Sam 3 words on Signal under the table. Time to flip. He'd know what I meant. We talked about it before. A full evidence drop. Timed email dumps, backups sent to reporters, flagged calls to law enforcement. It was a nuclear option, but it was all I had left. And I had just triggered it. Nate didn't notice anything. Until 11:07 p.m. when his phone pinged. Then again. And again. He glanced at me. Weird, my inbox is freaking out. I shrugged, probably spam. But I saw it. The shift in his face. His pupils dilated, his lips pressed tight. He stood up, walked into the bedroom, and closed the door. I gave it 3 minutes. Then I followed. He wasn't there. Neither was his phone. The fire escape window was open. He'd bolted. That night, Sam sent me screenshots of server pings from Nate's burner Gmail account. Over 20 messages sent to a law firm, a medical consultant, and someone listed as JR Ops. Each email had attachments. Most had subject lines like, Subject timeline update. Cognitive dissonance incident, March 15. Audio inconsistency report attached. One email stood out. Subject, final push timeline. Inside, adjusting the exit to match her discovery window. Recommend full transfer no later than March 31st. Will confirm containment status within 72 hours. That matched the handwritten exit, confirm, locked out 2 p.m. note on my calendar. I'd been right. They weren't just trying to make me question reality. They were trying to replace it. The next morning, I woke to silence. Nate was gone. His phone was on the coffee table, wiped. His toothbrush still wet. His shoes by the door. But not a single trace of his digital life remained. Bank accounts closed. His work email deleted. The real estate app we shared, he'd removed all property alerts, including the one for the upstate retreat we'd been planning together for months. Gone. Like he'd never been here at all. Like I was the ghost. And then, just before noon, the final blow. I received an email from my apartment building's management office. Your lease has been terminated by the coalescee. Please arrange for move-out by March 31st at 2 p.m. The exact time on the note. I blinked at the screen, then slowly opened my desk drawer. Inside, my real notebook. I flipped to the back page. I don't remember writing it. But there it was, in my own handwriting. If I don't remember this, he's already done it. I stared at the handwriting, my own neat cursive, like it had been left for me by another version of myself, one who knew this moment was coming. One who'd already started unraveling and had left breadcrumbs behind in case I forgot. I didn't even remember writing that note. But it was dated. February 3rd. The same day as the fake neuropsychiatrist appointment. I flipped back through the pages, searching for anything else from that week. Most pages were filled with normal observations, what I ate, what I wore, weird things Nate said. But sandwiched between two mundane entries, I found something else. Written in shaky, rushed letters. He woke me up to ask if I remembered falling asleep. Then beneath it, circled 3 times. He's editing my dreams. That night I barely slept. Every sound in the apartment felt amplified. The fridge hum became a chainsaw. The ticking wall clock, like water torture. Every time the heat kicked on, I jumped. At 3:12 a.m., I got up to pee. And froze. In the mirror across from the bathroom, a small piece of blue painter's tape was stuck to the frame. I leaned in. 3 words in printed Sharpie. Watch the video. What video? I ran back to the bedroom and checked Nate's phone again. It was locked, but not encrypted. Sam had shown me how to install a data recovery app. I plugged it into my laptop and ran the program. It pulled one undeleted folder. Labeled Mirror. There was only one file inside. A 1-minute video. No title. No metadata. I hit play. It was grainy, black and white. The bedroom, our bedroom. The bed, seen from the mirror's reflection. Me sleeping. And Nate sitting next to me, staring. Not blinking. Just watching me breathe. At the 0:37 mark, he leaned forward and whispered something in my ear. I turned slightly. Still asleep. He whispered again, slower. Then, almost casually, he lifted his phone, tapped something, and held the screen up near my face. The screen glowed. Bright white. Then black. Then flickered with static. Was that hypnosis software? I paused the video. Zoomed in. There was an app on the screen, NeuroBloom Pro. I'd never heard of it. I Googled it. Only one result. A dead Reddit thread titled, "Does anyone have experience with NeuroBloom sleep prompts?" No official site, no reviews, no product page. Just one comment. Used in behavior conditioning trials in 2020, pulled off the market. Do not fuck with this. I felt my throat tighten. He hadn't just been messing with my memory. He'd been trying to overwrite it. Sam came over the next day with gloves and a duffel bag. He didn't say, "I told you so," just walked through my apartment like it was a crime scene. He helped me collect every item Nate could have tampered with. My phone, my toothbrush, my laptop, the sound machine we used at night. "I'll run it all through diagnostics," he said. "But I've seen setups like this before, usually in cult deprogramming cases or high-control psychological abuse." So he was programming me. Sam didn't blink. "Feels more like a replacement project." "What does that mean?" He hesitated. "You know those experiments where you try to get a person to associate new memories with old triggers, like classical conditioning?" "Sure." "Well, Nate had your calendar, your keys, your dreams. He controlled your environment, routine, and your mirror." I swallowed hard. Sam leaned forward. "I don't think he wanted to erase your memory. I think he wanted to replace you." That night, I did the unthinkable. I texted Nate. "Me, come back. Me, let's talk." It was bait, pure and simple. He didn't answer. Until 4:06 a.m. One word. "Okay." I kept the lights off and waited. When the door unlocked, using his copy of the key, I was already in the kitchen. He stepped in quiet, confident, wearing all black, no bag, no expression. "You left the mirror app on your phone," I said. He stopped. "You know now," he replied softly. "I always knew." "No, you didn't," he smiled. "I just didn't know how deep it went." His face darkened. Then he dropped something on the counter. A single envelope. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside, a legal document. Psychiatric custody petition. Filed 2 weeks ago. Attached, evidence of emotional instability, memory lapses, and paranoid delusion. Subject is a danger to herself and others. Signed by Julian. Co-signed by a clinical advisor, Dr. Klein. They were going to have me committed. Within 6 days. Unless I acted first. I looked up at Nate. And said one word. "Smile." The red LED on the camera, hidden in the smoke detector, blinked to life. Nate froze. Just a flicker, but I saw it. The way his jaw tightened, the way his eyes darted toward the smoke detector, just for a second. "You recorded this?" he asked, his voice calm, too calm. "Everything," I said. "Since the calendar changed, since the notes started appearing, since you started whispering in my sleep." He gave a slow, theatrical nod, like a disappointed father. "Then I guess you know I did it for you." That broke something in me. "For me," I snapped. "You forged appointments, fed me sleep commands, tried to gaslight me into a padded room." "I saved you," he said sharply, stepping forward. "You were spiraling, always second-guessing, always anxious. I created structure, I gave you peace. You gave me surveillance, you wanted control. You called it love. I called it safe, until it started feeling like a maze, and you were the one with the map." He didn't deny it. Instead, he looked toward the door. "You're not going to the cops," he said flatly. "Already did," I lied. His face flickered again, a ripple of rage just beneath the surface. He stepped forward, but I stepped back. "I'm not scared of you," I said, though my pulse begged to differ. "You should be." That felt real. Then he smiled again, like a mask slipping back on. But this time, I saw through it. "You can't outmaneuver me, Layla," he said. "You don't know what you're doing." "No," I said, "but Sam does." That stopped him cold. "Sam." "Cybersecurity, surveillance, digital forensics, he's been tracing everything." "Everything." I nodded. All the burner emails, the NeuroBloom app, the storage unit. Even Dr. Klein's credentials, spoiler alert, he doesn't exist. Nate's lips parted. He wasn't smiling anymore. I stepped closer, holding my phone like a blade. "Now you look unstable." I left him standing there. He didn't follow. Didn't even move. I got in the car, locked the doors, and called Sam. He answered with 3 words. "We got him." He'd intercepted a deletion command sent from Nate's fake email server to the burner Gmail. A mass wipe order, scheduled to erase everything at 2 p.m. that day. It had been stopped, logged, archived. Not only that, but the footage from the unit, every photo, every label, every timeline, had been mirrored to 3 cloud locations. All time-stamped, all traceable to Nate's IPs. And the kicker, the Neuro Bloom Pro app had a developer backdoor, which meant every time it had been activated, it logged the facial proximity data of the person in front of the screen. It wasn't me. It was him. Nate had been using it on himself first. Testing it, tuning it, perfecting the commands before he fed them to me. I spent the next week like I was shedding a skin. The building revoked Nate's access key. The lease was frozen pending investigation. Julian, his boss, was suspended after Sam leaked the voice clip of their 2 a.m. call to an internal ethics committee. Turns out, JR Ops was short for Judicial Risk Operations, a shell Nate and Julian had used to push guardianship claims on vulnerable women for a cut of the estate transfer. 3 women came forward. All had eerily similar stories. Calendars altered, sleep disruptions, medical records manipulated. I wasn't crazy. I was a target. But now, I was a witness. The final twist came not from Sam, not from court, but from the mirror. 3 days after Nate vanished, I found another piece of blue tape on the frame. This time, it was a Polaroid. Me, standing in my apartment, wearing the same hoodie I had on right now. Only, in the photo, I was smiling. Too wide, eyes unfocused. And behind me, barely visible in the glare of the flash, a second reflection. Not Nate. Not Julian. But me. Again. Staring back. Expression blank. Watching. Recording. I dropped the photo and backed away. I didn't know what it meant. Maybe it was an old shot, maybe it was staged. Maybe it was one last hallucination Nate had engineered before he left. But deep down, I knew. Some part of the programming might still be inside me. Some fragment of his voice, whispering in my dreams, telling me when to doubt, when to smile, when to forget. So I did what I had to do. I covered the mirror. I turned off the sound machine. And for the first time in months, I slept without a single dream.